Okay, well, we're on to our fifth presenter, and I'm really looking forward to her presentation. Please welcome Naomi. Come on up.
Once you've published a book, you can quit your day job and collect millions.
Yay.
Ever thought about that one before? The US economy slid into recession in 2008, but book sales, all kinds of book sales, still came to $10.175 billion US. People will give up a lot of things, they don't give up reading. Who doesn't want a piece of that financial pie? Many of us are in this room to advance our careers, but let's face it, if you can get your slice of that $10 billion by pouring your heart out in 90 to 100,000 words, why not? A couple of months' work, and you can rake in the dough. Turn that on, please. I can say from personal experience that this is a myth, and I can tell you why. There's a pitfall you need to be prepared for and to be proactive about. Once you receive a phone call from your editor who says, "I love your manuscript, we'll make this into a bestseller," the big question you face is, who cares? Books are no different from any other commodity. Just because you have a product for sale, that doesn't mean people are necessarily going to buy it. But isn't marketing the publisher's problem? Not really. Not unless you're Stephen King or J.K. Rowling. There's a truism that by the time the publisher gives you publicity, you don't need it anymore. The business model for publishing, especially in mass market, which is your basic paperback size, has changed drastically in the last few decades. Most authors only ever publish one book, and the reason for that is they don't recognize the fact that they're running a small business. By the time they figured out that the sales of their debut novel are tanking, the publisher has already dumped their contract. The accountants at Penguin or HarperCollins or Simon & Schuster are not interested in building an author who doesn't make an effort to maximize their sales potential. This is what the publisher will do. They will print and distribute the book, and distribution is a huge part of marketing, and you really can't sneeze at that. They'll send out advanced reader copies for review to newspapers, to people who are professional book reviewers, that sort of thing, or they may not. That's becoming less and less frequent. Nonfiction and some fiction writers require a ready-made media platform before a publisher will buy it. And what I mean by that is, if you can go to them and say, I can get onto these talk shows, I can do these tie-ins, I can engage these parts of the market, like if you're a chef, you can go to kitchen stores or whatever, they'll be a lot more interested in you than if you just go up and say, hi, I wrote a really good cookbook. You know, because there's a bazillion of them published every year. What makes yours stand out? How can you draw attention to it? So if you're the average Joe, though, what can you do to increase your chances of people actually realizing that, yeah, you've got a book out there and wanting to buy it? A smart author will develop a brand and a marketing plan. And what I mean by a brand is when you go and you look at a Robert B. Parker book, you know exactly what kind of read you're going to get. Very often they'll all look alike, their website will reflect that. A hard-boiled novel, yeah, you can pretty much predict what all the marketing materials are going to be like. The author themselves secures reviews and endorsements. Don't kid yourself, a lot of the time when you look at a book and it says, this is the best book ever by a famous author, that has often been paid for. They will book their own signing and speaking tours. The infamous book tour or the blog tour or whatever. And online and direct marketing is becoming more and more frequently done. Blast emails, newsletters, contests, buy my book and enter to win a vacation in Hawaii, whatever. All of this takes time, an enormous amount of time, skill, and money. Now, most authors will think, I want to write books, not market them. What can you do? You can hire a publicist. The advantages of hiring a professional person to go out on your behalf, they can market many authors at the same time. You get economies of scale. You also get their professional expertise, and if you're lucky, somebody who can phone up the head of Porter's Books and say, hi, I have something you're going to have to put in all your stores. The disadvantages is it's really expensive. If you get a 10 or a 5-figure advance, you can kiss it goodbye. You have less control over the messaging, how you communicate with your readers, because somebody else is doing it for you. And did I mention it was expensive? So if you're not willing to get out on your behalf and do some marketing and be proactive, buy a lottery ticket, that's how you get rich. Only about 15% of writers live off their writing. On the other hand, there are many, many good reasons to be a writer. You've got stories to tell. Those are 3 of my books. There is nothing as exciting as holding your own edition in your hand. And in conclusion, all I can say is it's an act of love. It's a labor of love if you're going to be a writer. And you need all kinds of skills you never expected. Thanks very much.